welcome to this episode of Tea Time with me, Chaiti Narula. We're at the Karnataka Golf Association, popularly known as KGA in Bangalore. Joining me today on the show, all the way from Australia, is David Cherry, the chairman of the Asia Pacific Golf Confederation.
On the show this week, we have David Cherry, chairman, Asia Pacific Golf Confederation.
There's no doubt that the golf in the Olympics will help countries because they'll get funding from their governments and there'll be pressure on golf to win gold medals for their country.
In news, Stephen Bowditch wins Texas Open by 1 stroke. And Gaganjeet Bhullar and Anirban Lahiri play inspirational golf. Team Asia shares inaugural Euro-Asia Cup with Europe.
David Cherry, welcome to Tea Time and welcome to India.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
So let's start off and talk about the Sir Michael Bonellick 2014 trophy. It's an amateur trophy. In the year 2010, you all were all geared up to make it happen, but because of some European players not being able to make it to the trip because of the volcanic disruptions, finally it is happening in the year 2014.
Yes, it's a pleasure to be back here in Bangalore, which is, as you said, where we were scheduled to play.
Right.
And it was a great shame because Dilip Thomas, who's now the Vice Chairman of
Absolutely.
APGC, had done a tremendous amount of work in setting it up,
Right.
sponsors, all of that.
Right.
We at the APGC had no trouble at all in asking Dilip to once again, and the Indian Golf Union, to hold this famous trophy.
So what was the whole idea behind conceiving this trophy really in India?
India is very much part of the Asia Pacific Golf Confederation, which is a huge region that extends from the Middle East to Mongolia down to Australia and New Zealand. So
Right.
it covers a huge area. India is a very important player in the APGC.
Right.
So we had no doubt at all that it had to come to India at some stage, and it's come here earlier rather than later.
You know, speaking about India, is India really getting the right kind of impetus that it finally needs in this game of golf?
Certainly we've had some great players from India who've played in this event. Shiv
Right.
Kapoor and others have represented India for the Asia Pacific Golf Confederation against Europe.
Right.
And there's some seriously good players from India. We admire Indian cricketers a lot. I mean, Sachin Tendulkar is
Right.
famous in India, but he's also famous in Australia.
Sure.
There are a lot of Indians who live in Australia now, who've migrated to Australia. I don't know who they support now. I think they probably still support India. But cricket in Australia is huge. We also have rugby, football. So a lot of competition for people's attention. And golf is still pretty popular in Australia. It's much more affordable in Australia than I suspect it is here.
Right.
Golf membership is very cheap. We've got far too many golf courses for the number of golfers we have. I think that's a trend now in some of the developed golfing nations where golf membership is going down. The number of golf clubs clearly stays static or increases, and golf clubs are struggling to survive. Now, here in KGA, this is one of the very few courses in Bangalore, and membership I think is 20 to 30 years away for people wanting to apply. So that can't be too good for junior players who want to get into the game.
So the golf is really taking a bit of a beating in India with regards to factors like not many memberships being available, with not too many driving ranges being there, the cost of land acquisition is too high in India. How do you in Australia view India to be as a golfing destination? Do you think it is coming up to emerge as one of the bigger and one of the better nations in the world?
Talking about golf tourism, which is becoming a popular term now, I mean, Australians tend to go to Asia for golf tourism. They have a holiday, they play golf 5 or 6 times on the course, they go to places like China, Vietnam, and India is on the horizon. I don't think that's happened yet, but certainly advertising people would want us to come here, and this is a magnificent golf course, so they would definitely want to play here. But I don't know, I know there are good courses in Delhi and Calcutta. Of course, this is a huge country. To get from there to there would take a lot of time. So if you had, say, 5 or 6 courses in this region,
Right.
then because of the economics, it would be reasonable for Australians to come here on golf tourism.
David, let's hear from you. Are people today increasingly finding it difficult, rather, to find time to play 18 holes of golf? And will golf eventually, as a result of that, find its way into shorter formats globally?
In Australia, definitely it's becoming more difficult for younger people, say 20 to 40 years of old. It takes 4 hours, an hour's travel. By the time you've had a drink, the whole day's almost gone.
Whole day's gone, yes.
So we are looking at 9-hole events, even 6-hole, so that they can get away and be back for the rest of the day. And they can look after the children or do whatever that husbands or wives should do. So that is a problem Golf Australia is confronting. I'm confident that is happening worldwide.
What is the APGC doing really to promote golf in the little lower strata of society as well?
We have 38 member countries in the APGC, and
Right.
as I said, it extends from the Middle East to Mongolia, China, down to Australia. But there are countries, third world countries, and I don't mind naming them, places like Nepal, Cambodia, some island countries around Australia. APGC is very keen to support those countries to provide them with the opportunity for their best 2 players to play in the Asian Amateur Championship. All of those costs are paid for. Flights, accommodation, that's been a huge success, the Asian Amateur Championship. But in addition to that, we provide expertise in rules and just general golfing management to get these countries up and running. And APGC is not a wealthy organisation as such, but we can certainly provide the expertise. I've been to many of these countries to help them,
Sure.
advise them on what they should be doing. And with the Asian Amateur Championship, providing the funding for 2 golfers, as long as their handicap's less than 5.4, to come to the next venue, which happens to be in Australia. All of their flights, accommodation, meals, everything paid for. So for countries which couldn't possibly have the finances to do that, here's an opportunity, the 2 best players. Now, it's not going to affect India, but Nepal, Bhutan, Cambodia, Samoa, Cook Islands, small countries around Australia, they'll be able to send their best players. And that is a huge advantage for those countries.
You know, speaking about behavior patterns on the green as well, do you judge a golfer who you're playing with a lot on their character when you play with them?
If you play golf with somebody for 4 hours, you know him inside out, because eventually their temper will come, they'll miss a short putt, and after 4 hours I'm a doctor by trade, but I can sum them up pretty well having played golf with them. And it's a great learning experience. They'll see that to behave badly when you miss a putt is not acceptable, and hopefully that will transfer into the rest of their life and in their family. Really? Yeah, so I think it's a great game to learn how to be a reasonable person in this life.
Well, on that beautiful note, let's take a quick break right here on Tea Time. David and I will remain in conversation, and we will throw some more light on the business of golf on the other side. Stay with us. Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us on Tea Time. We're in conversation with David Cherry, who is the chairman of APGC. Now, David, what is the APGC really doing to make this game a little more family-oriented?
Well, I have to say we're probably not doing a lot in that area, but we rely on individual golfing nations to try and do that. In Australia, which is obviously where I play, with decreasing tournaments from 18 holes to 9 holes to allow, particularly from 5 o'clock at night till 7 when there's still daylight, opportunity for husband and wife to play together.
Sure.
And on Sundays at my golf club, children of all ages are encouraged to play with their parents. And so, you know, ours is a busy golf club, but we purposely go over way to get children into the game at a young age. I started when I was 5, so I've been playing for a long time. And that is, I think, where children really get a good interest for the game, because, as I mentioned before, competition with cricket, hockey, tennis, athletics, football of many codes, there's a lot of competition in Australia.
Right. Now, let's stay with the problems a little bit. Now, the upper tier of golf in the world today, I'm talking about the likes of Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus and so be it, they are enjoying continued sponsorship. They are enjoying a lot of money that is backing them. But this part, which is the upper tier of golf around the world, is being decoupled from the rest of the world. Would you agree with that?
Well, the very top 0.1% of golfers make a huge income, and so they should. They're outstanding athletes.
Absolutely.
Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus
Absolutely.
was a freak.
Absolutely.
Adam Scott, an Australian, they make a lot of money. The next 100 do reasonably well, but then between them and the rest, it's a struggle. And with sponsorship dollars, seems to me, decreasing, therefore decreasing. Therefore, what the pros at the second level play for is decreasing. Golf has to take a serious look at this from a professional. I'm not into the professional game at all. We're all amateurs, but I've noticed that it's becoming progressively more difficult for sponsors to look after major events.
Which means that golf is not that much of a viable business proposition in terms of a profession for an amateur to turn pro and make sure that he makes a living out of it, unless he is a Tiger Woods.
Well, they all see the amount of money that Greg Norman and Tiger Woods made, and they think, well, they've hit a good shot, well, therefore I can do it repetitively, and therefore I'm unemployed, I might as well turn pro and have a go.
Okay.
And after 2 or 3 years they find they're not good enough and they drop out. But it's very difficult to tell a 17-year-old he's not good enough when he's just hit a beautiful golf shot. Right. He'll say, well, I can do this, therefore I'm going to make a lot of money. Well, 99% of the time it doesn't happen, but occasionally it does.
What do you think about KGA as a golf course now?
I'd heard a lot about it, and they told me it was a great golf course, but looking at the condition of the golf course, it is magnificent. These fairways are to die for. The greens are beautiful, they're slopey, they're testy, the bunkers are magnificent, I mean they're so consistent, and the water hazards are really well strategically placed. The players love this golf course. I mean, we've got 24 of the best amateurs in the world.
Right.
None of them have complained. They've all commented on the magnificent condition of the golf course. As I say, these fairways are a delight.
Which country from the Asia-Pacific region, in your opinion, has the most amount of potential today?
I think Korea has got, there's no doubt that Korea, if you look at what Korea has done in developing women's golf, it's unbelievable. I mean, in Australia we have the name of the country to which the player came from, and now it's Korea unless otherwise specified. So there are so many top players from Korea women. There are some magnificent Korean men in the pipeline. So I think Korea, but the really exciting proposition is China.
China is another very emerging country, very important country.
They've only been playing golf for 20 years there. And about 4 years ago, China beat Australia at golf. It was like China beating Australia at cricket. It's just unheard of. So China is a huge developing nation in terms of golf. They've got magnificent golf courses, as good as this, many of them. So I'm looking to Korea to continue to provide us with fantastic golfers, but China, I think, is the watch this space for China.
Have you interacted with a few pros of India?
Oh yes, I've played with a few of them. Oh yes.
Which ones would this be?
Jyoti Bandara, Shiv Kapur.
Jyoti Randhawa.
Jyoti Randhawa, yes.
That's right.
Yeah. Shiv Kapur, I've played with them. Jyoti is a very, very good player, but I think Shiv Kapur is probably the best Indian player that I've played with.
All right, on that note, time now for me to play my chip shot. We'll remain in conversation with David Cherry, who is the chairman of the APGC, and discuss a little more about golf on the other side of this break as well. Take a quick break. We will see you on the other side. Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us on TeeTime. Now, David, is golf cool enough for youngsters?
I think so. In Australia, it's cool to play golf, but I can imagine that for some women it mightn't be cool, but we want to make it cool.
Yes, absolutely. Now that you've come here and played on the green in India as well, would you like to come back and devise a nice championship on the Indian green some point in the future?
I think in terms of, we'd have to get a sponsor from India to help us. Because of the huge distances of the Asia Pacific, aeroplane flights are expensive.
Right.
And although India is reasonably central, we're concentrating more in the Thailand region, which is probably the centre of APGC, yes. So we'd probably focus more on that because it's just more economically sensible
Sure.
to, if we can find an airline partner to help us, which is what we're doing.
You know, talking about sponsorship, is there a need of creative marketing, so as to speak, in this game today? And will the 2016 status of the Olympics help this game somewhat?
There's no doubt that the golf in the Olympics will help countries because they'll get funding from their governments, and there'll be pressure on golf to win gold medals for their country. So that is one of the big pluses of having golf in the Olympics. I don't know that I'm a great fan of it because I don't think tennis has been a great success. And unless you get the top players in the world playing, then it's not going to be hugely attractive. And most of the top players in the world come from America, and they're going to be only allowed to have 2 or 3. I'm ambivalent about whether golf should be in the Olympics, but one of the big pluses is that the flow down of finances from the country's Olympic committee will enter golf, where previously that hasn't happened.
It hasn't.
And so that must have a big boost to some golf economies.
Would change the dynamics of the way business is conducted around the
Yes, it would.
golfing economy,
It would.
ecology as well. Now I'm intrigued to know which are the golfers that you really look up to from the international world.
Adam Scott, because he's Australian.
He's an Australian.
Yeah. I think, well, Jack Nicklaus was when I was playing, Jack Nicklaus was the #1 player in the world. So I would still say that he's probably the best player that's ever played golf, although there'd be many who would argue with me.
Let's talk a little about golf academics. A lot of universities in the US are promoting academics with regards to golf, whether it is golf management, whether it is specialized courses in understanding how golf courses are designed, but that is somewhere lacking in this part of the world, especially in Asia Pacific. Do you think that trend is likely to pick up?
Yes, I do, and I know that the R&A, who are proud supporters of the Asia Pacific Golf Confederation, specifically look at having courses for maintenance of greens. In my days, I don't think there's any training at all, but now, to get a golf course looking like this, it just doesn't happen overnight. You need expertise, not only in designing the golf course, but in maintaining it, using the appropriate chemicals if you need to do that. The management of golf courses is such a big business now.
Right.
Most golf courses are run by secretaries who are ex-golfers who didn't know very much about managing golf courses. That's not good enough anymore. It's a business operation.
That's where the academics really
Exactly.
trickles in.
So there are courses in the United States for that, but in terms of running golf courses, developing golf courses, managing the day-to-day manicuring or maintenance of a golf course, the R&A is very much into that. Also in providing the rules of golf officials. The R&A provides people to come out from England to teach the teachers, and they teach the referees how to referee golf. As I mentioned before, we're the last bastion of decent behaviour in sport, and we're very keen to maintain that, and the R&A have done a great job in disseminating people throughout Asia Pacific, and those people are now leading. People like Ishwara Kanta are leading in India, teaching the Indian referees.
Let's finish our game and we talk about the health benefits of playing golf.
Exactly. Now, looking at me, you mightn't think there were too many health benefits, but the activity of walking about 5 miles for a round of golf, depending how bad you are, might walk 6 miles, but also mentally, the university tests have shown that if you play golf, the chances of getting Alzheimer's disease is decreased. So not only physically, to keep your cardiac condition going as long as possible, your legs, your circulation and arthritis, but mentally as well. So golf, and this is a very important part.
All right, let's finish our game. It seems to be one of your strengths, of course.
No, it's not one of my strengths. Well done.
Thank you.
There's a talent there. That's golf, but I'm not going to comment on the other thing.
So apart from, golf having a major impact on your mental health physically as well, you would say that golf has a lot of other benefits.
Oh, huge benefits. Just in living life. It teaches you to respect your partner, your opponent. It teaches you how to control your temper when you need to. You're playing with a whole lot of different people you would never otherwise meet, and particularly in the Asia-Pacific region, the number of people from other countries that I have been given the opportunity to meet, which in no way could I have done that without golf. Golf's been a fantastic sport for me.
Well, on that wonderful note, thank you so much, David, for joining me into Tea Time. Wonderful insights, rather, that we got from you on the game as well.
It's been a pleasure, Taylor.
Likewise. On that note, it's a wrap from me and David Cherry on this episode of Tea Time. A lot of insights, a lot of takeaways. One being that it's a very important game for your mental and physical well-being as well. Remember to keep playing golf and enjoy the flight of a good drive. I will see you next week again.